Louis West, and she touched many other lives just by her presence, her kindness. One of the things that we heard when we went to her memorial service was her motto, which is believe and achieve. And those are the words that she used to encourage many people. So at this time, if you could just bear with us for a second and have a moment of silence in honor of her service to CWA and to the community. Thank you for that. At this time, we'd like to have our guests introduce themselves. So, let's start with
First
Fred.
Catherine Miller, head of the CWA effort, and I live in Oxford Borough.
I'm Levi Gomez. I'm a resident of Oxford.
I'm sorry, Mr. D'Agostino, did you catch the
Yes.
second name?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Great, Karen.
Yes, sir?
Me?
Yes. I'm
Kathy, sorry, Kathy Maffei. I'm a resident of Aston and a ratepayer interested in helping save CWA.
Thank you.
Peter Mrozinski. I'm from Landenberg, Pennsylvania, also a ratepayer. And went to Harrisburg last week. You should have all been.
That's right.
Stephen Davis, Chester Bangalore.
And in the back,
Arthur Rothwell III, Chester resident.
did I miss anybody? Okay, thank you for coming today. Do we have any public comment on our agenda items? Okay, hearing none. May I have a motion, please, for the approval of the meeting minutes from September 19th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Solicitor, any action items from the executive session?
Mr. Chairman, there are no action items. I note, as you indicated for the record, that the meeting actually commenced around 11 o'clock. It had two components to it. Part of it was an information session, which is exempt from the Sunshine Act, and since no deliberations occurred, and the balance of it was executive session matters. We talked about personnel issues, and we also talked about the litigation matters, including the Pennsylvania Supreme Court case that's been pending for the past 2 years, and the federal bankruptcy case, which is still pending.
And
Nothing further to report other than what we covered in the executive session.
okay, next we have item 9, which is the Chief Financial Officer's report. May I have a motion for item A, request to approve expenses by function report?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is item 10, Director of Engineering's report. There are several items there. I'd like to take the first one, 10A first, and that's the request authorization to advertise the following contracts. Contract 24025, Equipment Rental and Operator, and Contract 24-026, Octorara Water Treatment Plant Lagoon Transfer Pumps. We have a motion for item 10A, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I'd like to take all the items 10B through 10G. I'll read them. Request to approve option year acceptance, contract 23-009, furnishing electrical services for $307,000. $164.03. Item C, request to approve proposal from Environmental Systems Research Institute for Geographic Information System consultation services not to exceed $47,300. Item D, request to approve professional service agreement amendment number 1 to, I don't know if it's Buchart or Buchart? Buchart. Buchart Horn contract number 21-208, $9,900. Item E, request to approve an on-call agreement for large water main construction assistance for $20,000 as an annual retainer. Item F, request to approve an on-call agreement for emergency construction assistance, $12,000 annual retainer. And item G, request to approve the following main extension and development agreements, and that's listed there for the Pine View Estates Phase 6, and there's no cost contribution on our part. May I have a motion for items 10B through 10G?
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herfer.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is a request to adopt resolutions and approve submissions of grant applications. For those of you in the audience, we've been very active at trying to obtain grants to keep our costs amongst the lowest in the area. We've been very successful, so this is yet another grant that we're requesting. And it's for the Pennsylvania's Local Share Account Grant Program. Resolutions and applications are subject to the solicitor's and executive manager's review and approval as to form and to content. May I have a motion for item 10H?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herfer.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving to item 11, Director of Human Resources report. Item 11A, we'll take that separately, and that's the request to approve the filling of the position of Chief of Distribution. This position to be included in the management retention plan of 10% of compensation 30 days after end of calendar years 2025 and 2026, and employment agreement through December 16th, 2027. We actually have that person in our attendance today. Mr. Kyle Torres, if you just want to stand. May we have a motion for that item?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herfer.
No.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
The next two items are, again, as I always say, for two very happy people. Request to approve the pension payment for Francis L. Jackson, effective November 1st, 2024, and Anthony D. Brown, effective December 1st, 2024. We have a motion for item 11B and C, I'm sorry.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herfer.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to item 12, Executive Manager Report. Item 12A, we'll take that separately. It's the renewal of the annual cybersecurity agreement with Darktrace for $116,612. We have a motion for 12A.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herfer.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 12B, request to approve renewal of Fontes Blue Consulting Services Agreement for a 2-year period for $102,000. May I have a motion for 12B, please?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herfer.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton. Yes. Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Washburger,
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do we have any new business? Any old business? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. We do have some public comments, I understand, so, Mr. Solicitor, do you want to go first, or do you want to go last?
Glenn?
That's okay. Do we have any public comment? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
me first.
No, you
Battle of courtesy.
That's right. There was closer to 100 people came out, went to Harrisburg to support Chester Water Authority. I'm sure you know about it because you paid for the buses, and we appreciate that a lot. It was actually a very fun trip. Buses were fun. But I don't know that you all fully comprehend the amount of grassroots support that it has taken. It took to pull that off, but more importantly, that's going on in support of Chester Water Authority. There's a tremendous grassroots efforts that primarily in southeastern Pennsylvania that's fighting against privatization of water and wastewater municipal systems. There are people in it who have witnessed the problems of privatization. There are people who have stopped privatization, and there are a number of like-minded nonprofit organizations. So we meet bi-weekly by Zoom. We talk about issues, we update each other. But over the last few months, Chester Water Authority has been a big issue for this entire group. So this includes people, not only those in the Chester Water Authority area, but outside. We see this as a big issue, not only for Chester Water Authority, not only for the local area here, but for the state. We should not let this precedent go forward, and people recognize this. Prior to the trip to Harrisburg, this group gathered more than 1,500 signatures on a petition to Governor Shapiro to step in, asking him to intervene in the financial problems of the city and prevent the grab of Chester Water Authority. The people who signed the petition, the people who went to the Capitol, were there to support Chester Water Authority, knowing the consequences of the monetization of Chester Water Authority. They knew it would only be higher rates, much higher rates. They also understand that the city of Chester is a problem for the state, not a burden to be artificially placed on a small number of citizens who happen to be Chester Water Authority ratepayers. So we were at the Capitol from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our goal was to hand deliver the signed petition to Governor Shapiro. In the morning, when we first got there, we broke into small groups and visited a number of representatives and a number of senators from across the state, not all from our area. We focused on representatives and senators who were facing issues in their districts of water or wastewater privatization. Most were very receptive. But we feel that the scope of privatization is not fully understood across the state. So that was our goal, was to try to talk to these people to raise awareness. At 12:30, we held a press conference with, I don't know how many speakers, 10 at least,
Something like that.
including Senator Kane, Senator Comita, and Representative Lawrence, who are all staunch opponents of privatization.
And Representative Kazim also.
Yeah, Kazim, thank you. Several reporters were there, and there were at least 3 articles have been published in local newspapers. The Chester County Press, the Delcor
Delaware Times. Delaware Times and the Spirit. And I have copies of all them for you
Thank
guys.
you.
I brought.
The
Visual
plan-
aids.
After the press conference, our plan was to deliver the petition to Governor Shapiro.
Front page of the Chester
But a
County
small
Press.
group, we found out during the day, a small group was going to be allowed to meet with some of his staff at 2:30. So after the press conference, we went and did a photo op outside his office. And then we went back out to see the different representatives and senators. In all, we spoke to 5 representatives and left information for 7 more. We spoke to 5 senators and left information for 2 more. The meetings went mostly well. They listened, they were supportive, and several of them had advice on what we should do going forward. The only pushback I witnessed was from a representative from the Pittsburgh area who firmly believes that privatization of municipal utilities is a complete local issue that should be handled by the municipality with no interference from the state. We tried to point out to her that this is happening because of laws passed by the state legislature, but I don't know whether we got through here or not. I did not attend the meeting with the governor's staff rather. I do know that they met with a representative from the Department of Community and Economic Development and with a representative from the governor's staff. What I learned was that the office of the governor is not taking responsibility for anything. And I wasn't there, but Catherine was and Noel was. Maybe you guys have more to add to that. I'm just saying what I heard. I don't know if you want to say more or not.
Ken?
Okay.
Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
Oh, after we finish?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead, we can finish
So,
it up.
Let me find what I was next. Okay, back to my main point for being here. One of my main points is to give you a brief update, but also to make you aware of the large number of people who stand behind Chester Water Authority and oppose the monetization of the Chester Water Authority. More people are getting aware of this and more people are getting involved. Some are spending a lot of time. Some are spending a heck of a lot of time on this issue. And we need to be assured going forward of your continued support. There are a few things I'd like to recommend you consider doing. I think some direct mailings from this board to ratepayers explaining the issues and how it's being handled and what effect it will have on them would be helpful. We go around and do this. I think you should try to get feedback from your ratepayers. At one of these meetings, probably a year ago by now, we suggested you do a straw referendum. I know that's a tough thing because it'd be very tricky. But knowing how your customers feel, it may change your mind on how you're approaching things. You may learn a way to do things differently. You need to go public. You need to get out and talk to the communities as the board of Chester Water Authority. Your presence will carry a lot more weight than ours will. You need to talk to the press, publish op-eds. Again, an op-ed from you is worth a lot more than an op-ed from us. And I'd like to invite at least one of you to our next meeting, which is going to be Friday at noon. And if anyone's interested, Catherine can give you the information on how to do that.
This Friday.
This Friday.
Tomorrow.
We have it but we have it
It's on
every 2
Zoom.
weeks. If you
It's
can't
on
do it
Zoom.
tomorrow,
Thanks for
2
the
weeks.
notice.
2 weeks. Thanks for
But
holding
we
the
meet
meeting
every
today. But 2 weeks from now would be good. I think them hearing from you would be a good thing, and I think you hearing what these people have to say would be a good thing. I want to relay my frustration a bit, not at you guys necessarily, but we get a lot of words of encouragement and words of support, but very little action, particularly from our elected officials. Several privatization attempts have been thwarted in southeast Pennsylvania. In every case, though, it was through the acts of the public, and often against the wishes of the elected officials. But there's only so much we can do. I know you're not directly elected, and I don't know what kind of political pressures you're under, but your action and visibility would go a long way to raising awareness of the issues, as well as verifying your support for all the work we are doing to help you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to follow up, or?
Sure. I just wanted to, say that he gave a great summary. It was a great day. These are two other ratepayers who went as well. One drove, one went on the bus, and it was a very good day. And Noel was our fearless leader out there. You were. You gave a fantastic speech. All the videos have been posted on Save CWA now and on social media, so if you want to watch the speeches, they are up there. And I think it was an interesting, hey, we got in the room with Governor Shapiro's staff the day before they had told us no, and then that morning of, with us all there, storming the Capitol. No, we were very polite and very, very respectful. And we had two tables set up in two different rotundas, in the main rotunda and down in the East Wing rotunda, and talked to a lot of staffers and a lot of representatives that way as well, even ones we didn't have official meetings with. We talked to a lot of people. We got in the room with Governor Shapiro's staff. We explained the issues. At least they acknowledged them. They didn't promise any direct help, yet. I feel like they want to wait and see what the courts are doing. That is kind of what, I don't know if you got the same assessment. They're in this wait and see mode to see if they're going to intervene. He could take action. He has appointed the receiver, and he could direct the receiver to do something differently or appoint a different receiver. He just, it got renewed under his administration. He was appointed by Governor Wolf, but then he was, reappointed, extended his term as receiver while Governor Shapiro was elected. So, but they're trying to kind of distance themselves from that. But we at least got her say, and they let us talk even longer than a half an hour with them. So.
I'll add on to that, but this gentleman in the back, would you want to say?
No. I'm just saying, I'm not with them.
Oh, okay. Are you for them or against them?
I'm listening.
I'd just like to say, Peter, thank you to you, Margot, and Bob. You guys have done a fabulous job. And it's not just, hey, you went to the Capitol. You've been working on this for years, right? And you've made presentations in my homeowners association and several, and at the elementary school. Your points are salient and concise, and so just on my behalf, I hope you sense, I think I speak on behalf of the entire board, we do appreciate and acknowledge what you're doing. And I think what you said sums it up the best. We are definitely starting to gain momentum in the Court of Public Appeal, and so I appreciate it. Thank you.
And to let me put, he has an op-ed we're trying to get published right now. And Noel just had one at the end of September. So some of that is
in the spirit, right?
And trying to get it in the spirit.
It was good.
But this was because they were running this article, they probably didn't want to run your op-ed at the same time. But I will read.
Because we did not stop Save Chester Water Authority last Wednesday, but we were heard. That was very clear. We were heard, and we were heard in the Capitol, but also the people who went have been energized. And so we have more people now who are going to go out talking.
And we don't know what kind of impression this is going to make, but I think it's safe to say it's not going to hurt.
Right.
It's only going to help.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being a part of that. It was my first time ever going to Harrisburg, ever being in the rotunda, speaking with cameras and senators and representatives all around. So it was quite intimidating, to say the least, but it was well worth it. To see I see Vernice back there. Vernice spoke, some of our employees spoke, but there was a whole bunch of folks in the background with Save CWA signs. And it was very encouraging to me. I rode the bus up, speaking to people. Just to see the level of support just made it feel like all the work that we do as a board to try to stay on top of things, to try to do the right things is paying off. Regarding the governor, for me it was a tale of three cities. When we first got there, we thought that the governor didn't want to speak to us, or the governor's office didn't want to see us. That was kind of like the impression. So we did our job and spoke to various representatives and so forth. And then Senator Kane's chief of staff, I believe, pulled a few strings and got us into the door. So the next tale was that they only wanted to give us 15 minutes. Say what we had to say in 15 minutes and they'd be out of there. I think we actually ended up staying there 30.
Almost like 45.
45 minutes.
Almost, yeah.
So I thought they were going to kick us out, but they actually were interested in what we were saying, because I think,
I thought the longer it went on was the better. so.
yeah, they were taking notes. So I think because we have raised the issue and raised the awareness that we know what they know, even though they're just, I think they were saying that they don't know, or you kind of like know when they know, that they're now going to go back and ratchet this up. That's my hope. And maybe, I'm sure, word will get back through the appropriate channels to the powers that are in position to make a change. And I really felt that we made a big impact, but we wouldn't have made that impact if it wasn't for all the hard work. That the 1,500, I don't know if you know what 1,500 signatures look like, but it's a binder, maybe a 2-inch binder. And when you give that weight to somebody that they took, it says, hey, this is a bigger deal than we thought. The most interesting thing was Representative Sappy sought me out, in that rotunda, and said, you guys got to come back when we're in session again. This is really big, I'm a big supporter, we got to do more, but you can't just do one of these, you got to do more of these. So it was very interesting to hear her say it, but not only that, Representative Kruger and Representative Borowski kind of like gathered around us to encourage us to continue doing what we're doing. So, but I think
Maybe Levi or Kathy want to add on.
yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, so Rep. Kruger is our rep. And so I flagged her down in the hallway after the press conference. We saw her walking through. And so we chatted with her for a little bit. And some of the information she gave me wasn't exactly correct per what Catherine told us afterwards. It sounded like she said that the governor's office and the director of the DCED told her that the receiver cannot be replaced or influenced directly through the governor's office or the DCED, that they have no, he doesn't report to them, that the judge is in managing.
The Commonwealth
case.
Court judge is what she was saying, but that's just where he
Well,
files
actually,
his, that's just where they file their
I think what
reports.
was told to us, which was even funnier than that, was we said, who does the receiver report to? And they
Yeah.
said, he reports to Act 47. And we asked, well, how can you report to a document?
Yeah. So
And then
that,
they,
Same way you write a letter that says,
Yeah.
dear Doug.
I feel like there's a lot of muddling of the information intentionally or unintentionally along the line. There's somewhere to just sort of brush off and let's just see how this happens, because, after that, after we realized, after speaking with Catherine, that, what she just told us was not really our understanding of the situation, we went back to her office. They pulled her out of session, actually, to come back up and talk with us again, which was heartening that she definitely does care about the issue and the constituents. She's hearing from a lot of us, too. Every time I call, they're like, yeah, we've heard from y'all today.
They say it's their #1 call to their office.
Yeah, yeah, and they're getting to know me.
It's good, it's good.
Yeah, but she still sounded like, yeah, I don't, this is a separation of powers thing, so I said, well, listen, I think what we have to do is get you together with the CWA people and sort of sort out what really are the facts of this kind of situation and what can and cannot be done via the government. Obviously, repealing Act 12 and all the legislation she's working on is fabulous. That's great if they can work on that. And another route, obviously, is what we're doing in the courts, what you're doing in the courts, and thank you. But, putting pressure through via the governor, through the DCED, to try and change course with what the receiver is doing, is that third route. We can't abandon, all of our options. So.
Thank you.
So by the way, thank you all for doing a great job managing our water systems all these years and letting us know that there was a problem, that this was happening, because we had no idea, and resisting, because some places they didn't do that, and then it was too late for people.
Thank you for your kind words. Do we have any other comments? Yes, sir.
First of all, you asked me directly, and I didn't want to interrupt what they were saying since I wasn't directly involved. I definitely support all their efforts that they're doing, and I applaud them for everything they've done up to this point. But my statement is based on something that I'm requesting. For 15 plus years, the Order of the Eastern Stars, the 2nd District, and the 2nd District Most Worship Prince Hall Grand Lodge Masons have been feeding people on Thanksgiving morning. And historically, you guys have given us water to help out, giving us 12 cases of water. We'd like to sit and ask you again if you'd be willing to donate another 12 cases of water for the purpose of feeding people who are less fortunate than us, that we do as our charitable thing for Thanksgiving. And we invite all of you to come down and support and sit with us at St. Daniel's that morning. And we're going to have the news people there to take pictures and things of that nature if you want to come. I feel bad that I came after this guy because that was such an awesome, So that's all I have. Thank you.
We try to be there for our community.
Yes, sir.
First of all, providing affordable water, but we contribute where we can, and certainly I don't think we need a board vote for that. I think we're good. So I think the cases will be on their way as soon as you need them.
I had a letter for you too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So I'm Levi, and I was fortunate enough to go on the bus and the trip up there to Harrisburg. And I've been following you guys ever since you guys had your event at the October Reservoir. To me, it's very important to have that movement there and for residents and everybody living there. But I was fortunate enough to man the station there. Catherine mentioned about being in the camera and getting the stuff set up. So then I was out giving out for information, especially to more of the legislative people, gave out more of the information regarding the acts and stuff like that, and then able to give out information. People could look at the board there with information regarding how you guys are trying to save the water. And because I was just giving out pretzels, and I was making sure in the water too. I was making sure that everybody took enough, and so we didn't leave with anything.
It was fantastic. I was so glad I didn't have 300 pretzels to do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So I made sure everybody got pretzels and water, and by the time that I got the last pretzel out of there when I left out of there, but everything was gone.
It was great. The that's how you get the legislators to come to your table in these years. You have to have food. So we did pretzels and water. That's how you get them to come over. Take your stuff. You want this pretzel? You also have to take this report about water wars in Pennsylvania.
I have a question, if you don't mind. We have 1,500 signatures on that petition. What did the petition say, and how did we gather those signatures? That's a lot of signatures.
Some were done online. Some were done.
He was looking for something.
Do you have the actual
I have a
wording?
copy of the writing.
He can read
What
the
a
wording.
surprise.
It's very brief.
KWA did their own. They amongst their residents, Food and Water Watch collected them online for us. We directed people there. I did them in person at various events. Go ahead, it's very short. You can read it.
I can pass, okay. I'll pass one too. It says, as a customer of the Chester Water Authority, this is to Governor Shapiro. So it says, as a customer of the Chester Water Authority, I urge you to tell your appointed financial receiver for the city of Chester to stop the water grab and rescind his recent water plan. Do not allow him to cash out the invaluable public water assets. Instead, protect water and wastewater systems as public assets and affordable services. Please revoke any and all policies that promote water and wastewater privatization schemes. Instead, take a stand for public water for cities like Chester and for your constituents and for customers of Chester Water Authority by providing the real resources that distressed cities need.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other comments?
Because if you want, people want to see what it said.
Yeah, we decided when we did the petitions to have different groups gather petitions. So it wasn't given as one stack.
Different people were going out and
So
getting
it showed
them.
that there were different groups involved in this. Like our group, we gathered 230 petitions. And I was amazed at the number, how quickly people responded, and the number. It was very, very, very encouraging.
Mr. Chairman, some of the people here know that there are different rules for petition circulators that some of us know about, and some like.
Yeah, they're not like election petitions, they're not like official like that. It's more like just, here's a list of constituents that believe this statement. It's not like, you know, election stuff.
But it's a concept known to us all.
Some better than others.
Okay. I just wanted to express my condolences to the passing of Dr. Lewis West. I was not able to attend. I was actually in Scranton, Pennsylvania last week at a PML, Pennsylvania Municipal League Summit, which is why I also couldn't go to Harrisburg. Otherwise, I would have been there with you all. So yeah, I think you all are doing a great job. A lot of the comments that you've made, we're doing, right? We're doing those things. And there are some things I think as board members, some of us can do and some of us cannot do based on our, professions. So I'm glad that more people are getting involved and being active, because I see a lot of our employees that are really engaged. The public, not so much. We send out information in the bills. We've talked about it. We have a social media presence. We are making more inroads with our community partners, which is going well, and I think that's also going to have an impact going in the future. But yeah, we definitely should talk about ways to do more. I'd love to attend your meeting, so please send me the Zoom link. I can have my lunch and attend that. So yeah, so keep doing the work that you all are doing. It's making an impact. Thank you.
Yeah, why don't you send the meeting link? I may be able to attend that, but I'll be traveling, but if I can, I definitely will sign on. So if you send the link to everybody and whoever can make it. If you can't, I'm sure it's understood. Any other comments?
Cupcakes would be nice.
Forget about the cupcakes.
No, we want cupcakes.
But they were good though. We'll have her make some special ones.
Very huge thanks to City employee Jen Harrison,
Yeah,
who made
make-
cupcakes for both buses.
Now she has to make them for the
Right.
board.
I know, and now it's like anytime we go, she's gonna have to make cupcakes.
She has to make
It's like there's a
them
draw.
for the board now, just for Lenny.
I'm gonna have to tell her that.
Any other comments? Yes, that's right.
Can I follow up on Mr. Lefay's comments about what Christine Sappy told her? I will tell you, right?
Oh, my God, yeah, that's
Sappy,
Kruger.
right? Sappy.
Yeah, Kruger.
Leanne Kruger.
So we've recently come upon some information that we'll be sharing shortly with you guys and the public generally about who's really providing input to the receiver in Harrisburg. We'll show you the connections and the interactions and so on. So that'll become clearer soon. I don't doubt for a minute that anybody that the legislators ask, that they're all being told by the executive branch, the governor's branch, that they have nothing to do with it. It's all hands off. Well, that's nonsense. I mean, there are millions of dollars being paid to the receiver's team, and that money is based upon contracts that are signed with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, not the receiver, not Act 47. So there's all kinds of connections there that you'll see on paper, but they don't talk about that. But you're going to have to look at this paper and draw your own conclusions as to who's overseeing what and who's doing what. So we'll clarify that for you in the next week or two.
That would be useful.
I know.
Because she said literally, the director of the DCED told her, he does not report to me, I have no control over what he does. And I said, well, this isn't sounding right to me. Any clarification would be wonderful, because it's something I can take
It's
back to
not
her.
believable, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I mean, I don't doubt for a minute that that's what she was told. I think
Sure.
she's told that often.
I believe we said in our meeting, well, he's not a king, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he can't just do anything, right?
I wanted to take a minute at the board's discretion just to talk about Dr. Patricia Lewis West. So this board is a product of state law that was passed in 2012. You serve 5-year terms. The first term was from 2012 to 2017. Mrs. Smith was here for that first term. She was here before that. Mr. Rivera was here for the first term, but not for the second term. Dr. Patricia Lewis West came along in the second term. She served from 17 until 22, and she continued to serve from 22 until when she fell and got hurt. Was that last spring, summer? And then unfortunately she never really recovered from that and then recently passed. She will be missed. But it was really an honor to work with her. She's one of the few people that I know that did the job that she was supposed to do, not the job that she wanted it to be. There's a lot of people doing jobs nowadays for public service, for boards and so on, that do what they want to do, but they don't do what they're supposed to do. It gets bad at. Her job, like your job, is to be a board member overseeing the operation of a public water authority. You're really a public health agency. You have to make sure that you give the highest quality drinking water to people's homes and businesses every day, and that you do it at the lowest possible price. Okay, that was her sole focus. She didn't get distracted by other things. She didn't try to work in other areas. That was her focus. Every meeting that I was at, every time I worked with her, that was what she was about. She was a very serious person. She was curious. She spent time learning this operation, which is very difficult, the production of drinking water. It doesn't come out of the ground or the river or from the sky in a form that our customers can use. It has to be treated and distributed and transported, so on. And she immersed herself in those details, much as you all do, and just took it seriously. She was quietly competent and a very serious person. I will miss her. She had a solid character. There were some issues that we ran into in that second term where she was a stalwart advocate for the ratepayers every single time. She served with distinction and honor, and I will miss her very, very much. And I want that to be reflected in minutes. I thank you for that opportunity to share with you.
Thank you for those words. For family, and we appreciate that. Do we have any other comments? Okay. Hearing no further comments, I'd like to entertain a motion that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.